Welcome, everybody, inventors, innovative business owners, to the From Idea to Profit, the Product Pioneers podcast. This podcast is for creators, innovators, visionaries, anyone who wants to protect their ideas, build market-ready products, and grow thriving businesses. I'm Tim. I've been working with inventors and innovative business owners for almost 2 decades now. In this episode, we are going to be tackling the hard truth. Most inventors fail, and it's not because they don't have a great idea. It's because they missed one critical step early on. And I also like to introduce my co-host, John Wiley. John, thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
So we want to share with you that not only is this huge pitfall such a massive thing for inventors and innovative businesses, but we're actually extremely excited to share with you that there's good news, that this critical step that is missed so often is totally avoidable. And actually today we're going to show you how to avoid it. How does that sound?
Sounds great to me.
So,
well, shall we?
Yeah, John.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Let's get to the harsh reality of things here. This is a stat you drew to my attention, I think is amazing. Over 75% of patents never make it to market. Over 75%.
That's
and it's huge. And a large portion of those products that do not make it to market fail to generate profit. The reason why is because the inventors didn't validate their idea or legally protect it properly before investing money.
Yeah, that's it. What it comes down to.
It's like driving a car with no gas in it.
It is. No, it's even better because it's driving a really good car. Like, you got like a Ferrari or something. Like, this is a really great idea, right? Car, right? This is a really great idea, really great car, and you don't put gas in it. And or this is like a big thing is like you want to show off your car to everybody else, but since you didn't protect it, everyone else has the same car and they got it for cheaper than you because you built your car. They just went out and bought it and they got it from someone who builds cars all the time. And so, we're going to get to all these different things. Like this is the world that we live in, right? This is the world of commerce, the world of consumerism. Like there is a million, if not, like hundreds of billions, if not thousands of billions of products out there, right? And think about how many products actually do the same things and things like that. So in the realm of standing out, in the realm of innovation, right, this is an interesting conversation we're having today. And so, but yeah, we do want to talk about the first part of what you're talking about, right? Like that they don't even make it to market. And then once they're in the market, they're not really selling it. And one of the reasons why is because they skip the first part of the crucial elements of innovation, and that is a proper patent search. Like, well, John, I mean, you've been in business for many years. Like before you met me and started operating in this intellectual property space, have you even heard of a patent search?
No, frankly, no.
Right. And this is a lot of people start businesses and they've even built their business around a specific product, and they do all this work to create and prototype and build it and even get their product out for sale, right? But yet they never bother to search whether or not someone else is already making that product, right?
Yep. And can I add to that, Tim?
Absolutely.
It's from the patent search, right? That's, you've got the idea, now you have to find out if somebody's doing something similar or you're copying, infringing on their stuff as well. But what I also see is not necessarily just with a patented product that you want to turn into a business, but just often just starting a business without doing the research in the market space.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize that there's 5 other companies out there targeting the same audience that you're targeting, and they've been in business for 20 years more than you have. And you think your little widget in your SaaS software is going to, change the world.
Right.
But so I think it goes to say that they shouldn't just do the patent search, but they should go deep into their market and their competition. And I could come up with 100 examples of people who say, oh yeah, we got our software is better than everybody else's. Well, why? Then but also your software hasn't been growing with the industry that you're targeting. So,
Yeah, it
yeah.
this is what we're talking about. Crucial, a crucial step. And to me, and even you're saying like this search, right?
Hmm.
In the patent search, prior search as we call it, market research, all of that is the beginning of this crucial step. The next, specifically for products and for people who are building a business around a product, I think most people have heard of the term patent pending.
Yeah.
What patent pending means, for those of you who don't know, means that you have filed what's called a provisional patent application. And so it's provisional. So they're offering you 12 months to start selling, to start to, and in that selling you can develop it, but you have a placeholder for this idea. But people think that, okay, I have this placeholder that I can operate freely. But the problem is if they filed a weak provisional patent, which means that all of the things that really makes their idea unique, everything that makes their idea cool, and especially everything that makes their idea valuable in the marketplace is not contained within that provisional patent application, it's not protected. This is something that again is overlooked by many. They think that just because they wrote on a piece of paper, I have an idea, this idea is gold, right? And I file that, I spent all the money, because that's what the government really wants, is the money, right? So I spent all this money, so that means I'm good, right? Because I gave the money to them, so that means I'm good, I can do whatever I want, I got the golden ticket. But that filing receipt, is contingent on what you formalize later in your formal patent, but also is whatever you include, like that wasn't in your provisional, is actually not protected back then, is protected when you go to file future. And so everything that you have exposed to the world for that year is now free game for people to steal. And that's something that's overlooked, right, by
Yeah.
many people. And they wonder why, oh my gosh, why do I see so many products like mine out there? And I finally have the guts to talk to an attorney, and I finally have the guts to hire an attorney and the money to do so. And I come to find out that I have no ground to actually sue these people. This is why. So the first part, right? Did not do a proper patent search. Second part, I filed a weak provisional patent application. And then I launched a business. That's it. Those are the three elements that make up this crucial step, right? Make sure you do your patent search. Make sure you file a strong and watertight as possible provisional patent application. Then launch. Launch with the understanding of what the landscape is in the marketplace and also what my legal rights actually are.
Mhm. I think that one of the things for me, again, you're the expert on the patents, patent information and processing and et cetera, where I look at this as something that resonated when you said that when you file for a provisional patent application and it's accepted, that gives you the protection to start working on your business. Which I don't know if there's any statistics around that, but I would think that anybody who's a novice into this area, who's not working with an attorney or not using the right software to get the work done, wouldn't know that I think it'd be common sense for people to think, well, now I have to wait for my patent to be approved before I can start selling. But it's completely the opposite,
It is.
which gives you 12 months of ramp up. If you need it, you can start selling from day one, basically.
Exactly right. And I think so. This is something I think you bring up a very good point of like the process, right? Provisional patent application versus a formal filing, which is actually when you're starting becoming concerned with whether or not your patent's approved. I would like to preface this right now and also just share with everybody, John and I are not patent attorneys. We're not
Yeah.
IP attorneys. I'm a trademark illustrator and an entrepreneur of over 20 years. And John is also a business owner and entrepreneur. And the two of us are business consultants who have a focus on intellectual property. This is not legal advice. This is our business savvy. This is what we've learned in business. And it's also the takeaway of what I've seen in the business of IP protection. over the years. And so, first and foremost, our shoot from the hip response to anybody is saying, hey, I got this great idea. Okay, great. Have you engaged with a patent attorney or any intellectual property professional like a patent agent or an IP attorney? And let's face it, this is not a cheap endeavor, right? Most people do not have access to trust funds and the tens of thousands of dollars needed to, if, I'm not speaking out of hand here, but if you do your market research again, a patent is going to cost you in upwards of tens of thousands of dollars. And people might say, like the old joke, right? Why are they so expensive? Is because they're worth it. But the whole point is most people that John and I'm sure you can also vouch for this, that we've run into are people who, one, cannot afford a patent attorney at this point. And I think they all hope that someday they can. But right now they can't afford it. And then there's other group of people who they're just choosing not to. They're choosing to go at it alone, and which you have every right to do. I mean, an attorney is simply your advocate. Your attorney can't do anything you can't do on your behalf. They're just your advocate, but they also know a lot more than you. So the whole point of why I bring this up is because we are talking about the number one mistake. And that number one mistake, is if you choose to go at it alone, you insulate yourself from everything. But the problem is it's not a good thing. You insulate yourself even from the correct information. You insulate yourself from the tactics and the tools that are available to give you the best chance of success. And what happens is you choose to go at it alone, you will find that someday you will get the surprise letter in the mail that says, hey, you're being sued, right? Or you're scrolling through the Google, right? And you'll find a whole plethora of imitation products that you've worked so hard to develop, right? That other people are selling for half, if not lower than half of the cost that you're selling for, right? And then you're realizing, oh my gosh, I need to sue these people. I need to spend all this time doing all this research of who's stealing my products. Why am I getting these legal notices from other companies that seem to be imitating me, right? And then all that time that you thought you were saving by going off at it alone, and especially all that money you were thinking about saving because I can't afford to hire an attorney, I can't afford to take advantage of these tools and these tactics and these things that are out there, and you'll find yourself everything that you felt that you saved in that moment, you're spending in excess of 10, if not fold, 20 fold, even more. It's amazing some of the stories I've heard. And while you're doing all this, your business is probably crumbling because you're focused on all the other things except for running your business. And so, yeah, it's this mistake is a big one,
And it's very common, right?
all too common.
Yeah.
In fact, I do, John, if I may, I want to share like a story, an actual story of a phone call that
Yeah.
I got just a few years ago. I got a phone call out of the blue. Right, it was a referral from somebody else, from a past client actually, and I got this call and it says, "Hey, I understand that you might be able to help me here. I went to go file for a patent. I made enough sales in my product to file for a patent, and it turns out that I can't. I've been selling this product for 5 years. I never got a provisional or a formal patent on it. I've been successful, made, hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And I went to go file a patent on my design, and it turns out that a company already owns it. But it's my design, it's my original design. I did it all myself. And I said, well, did you ever do a patent search? Right? Nope. I said, did you ever file a provisional patent at any point throughout this process? Right? So you've launched a business, manufactured, prototyping, did market research in a small market that he was operating. This was a product. I'm not going to get into the details, protect the innocent and all that stuff, even protect the guilty. But like the whole point is, he lived in an area that this product would sell very well, right? And so he didn't have to travel far. He pretty much lived in a place that this product to be used. And so it was very popular, it sold. But the thing is other areas where similar products were selling, they were getting the product that was already patented and already had a market. And so the reason why he came to me is he wanted to get creative and create new design elements that could be patentable so he could operate in the same space. Let me tell you, that's like inventing the Ferrari, but with one R and two eyes, right? And then trying to compete with Ferrari, right? It's like, you're operating with all the wrong ideas. Not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying that it's like you're playing catch up. And I said, this company is much bigger than you are. Don't you think that they could come up with these ideas before you? Like, I mean, especially if you start filing patents on certain things, they're just going to try to hedge you off at the pass. They have more resources. This is the case, right? When it comes down to it, it's all resources. So eventually, they did catch on because they got a notification that he filed a patent, even though it was rejected. They're notified. They were notified because by you even filing it becomes public, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, this guy is trying to patent something that we already held the patents on. So in the midst of us working together, he started getting a slew of cease and desist letters, and by the time he was all said and done, the money that he made, the hundreds of thousands of units that he had sold, all of it was just gone. He had to go back to his old job as a realtor, and that was it. And all of this could have been absolutely avoided if he had done a comprehensive patent search at the beginning and filed an actual provisional patent application that was strong and airtight. And the other thing is if he had simply had the results from that patent search, right? So, like, here's a scenario that I laid out for him, and I'm not a shoulda, woulda, coulda guy, but I laid this out for all my other clients who are at this stage where he was years before, which was, I'm thinking about launching. Okay, come to us. Let's get on. We have the product patent search made simple. It was developed by one of our trustworthy patent attorneys with us, and it is an amazing software. We would do a thorough patent search, and then once you get it and when you see that someone is holding the patents on all these ideas that you want to sell, this is not the end of the world. You finally know where your ingenuity is going to have to be placed, and so you move forward. And then okay, still like my idea. This is what I can't do, so I look at the path that I can do. And then I file my provisional patent application using patent pending made simple, also developed by intellectual property attorneys on our trustworthy directory. And we file an airtight provisional patent application. Then you start building a business around it. You take the mentorship that is offered to you. You take whatever resources and tools, courses, whatever that are offered to you so that you can maximize your impact on the marketplace and start profiting. So when it comes time to formalize that patent, you have all the monetary resources and all the information from your market research to put into it, and you're golden in your market.
Very well.
Thank you.
Let's talk about another topic in this same genre. Where I see things going. So I run a community in another platform that has a few hundred people in it, and a lot of like what you're talking about could have all been avoided had that person not been doing it alone, right?
Correct.
If he had somebody to lean on, some expert to call without, running up a $250 attorney bill or whatever.
No, at least,
and
yes.
and you probably have more stories along the same lines, right? But I want to tie this in with, because the product pioneer community that we're developing, I'm really excited to launch this and kick it off because I just love that engagement. When you got somebody coming in have an issue, like we do in some of our business partners, right? We join their communities and we get answers so quick as opposed to waiting for support to get back to us in a week. We go right into the communities and get those answers done. And it's a huge time saver. And it's nice just to be able to have people to start dialogues with, to network with. You could there's some situations where, I've got a lead, but it's not a good fit. I can hand it over to this other company. I think it's a good transition for them. But let's get into the product pioneer a little bit, because the value that's in this community that we're developing, that we hope you guys will all be a part of, will save you a lot of time, get you a lot of support, get you accountability. You can get access to attorneys as part of your membership to that community, and discounts to the software that helps you do all this patent search and patent pending application processes. So maybe help me expand on this a little bit more, Tim, on like the value of having, I see it weekly, but the value of being able to just jump in
Mhm.
to a community and ask a question and get a response in a matter of
It's
minutes.
It's interesting, right? Because you bring up an excellent point, right? Like because you and I, right, since we
Mm-hmm.
started this business, we have scoured social media and other places where there's other communities that offer tools and community for inventors and innovative businesses. And what's interesting is most of these that are free. There's some that are free. There's some that are paid. Most of them are free, and most of the free ones we have a free community as well on Facebook. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
dogging it. I think free communities are fine, but you do have to be careful, like, because you get what you pay for. That's something that it's worth mentioning, especially since what's that old adage, right? Everyone has an opinion, right? Blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah. So the whole point is, one of the things about having the Product Pioneer paid community is this is again, it's an amalgamation. It's a of 20 years of experience, personal experience on my end, with 20 years of hearing stories like the one I just shared, right? People come to me typically after something catastrophic has already happened. And I have spent the later years of my business trying to help innovative businesses and inventors kind of head these problems off at the pass. Stop this before it becomes a bigger problem. And what better place than having a community where it's like people have finally decided, like, yes, I am an innovator. I am an inventor. I am building a business that is going to affect the world in some way, shape, or form. And it's worth investing in. And I said, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Here's this tool. Here's this trustworthy attorney. And when I say trustworthy attorneys, I'm talking about attorneys that I have worked with for years. Some of them I have worked with for 20 years or more. Some of them I've known for decades. And we have worked on many projects. We have helped many, like thousands of inventors and businesses succeed. And then again, we talked about the patent search made simple product and a patent pending made simple. Like being a member, I'm a huge fan of member exclusive offerings. I just love that. I love exclusive. I think people deserve exclusive. People deserve the VIP treatment. And why not? Right? Not only do you get access to these attorneys, not only do you get access to a community of like-minded people, but now you get exclusive offers and exclusive discounts to these very powerful softwares and AI-driven products. The other element that I think is worth mentioning too is the tools. I mentioned tools several times, and we have courses, have Q&A sessions, we have things that'll help elevate your
Assessment.
understanding.
Assessments.
Assessments. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. The business and intellectual property readiness assessments that are available, the workshops that are available to help you break through like the creative barriers that you might be facing in your business and with your idea itself. This community of product pioneers is, the value in it, and I love talking about the value because it excites me because I wish that this had existed when I first started because it would have been a lot easier to tell these people like, hey, Tim, I have this question. I'm like, just join the community because all your questions will be answered, and then even the questions that you didn't know you had would even be answered.
Yeah, and it's actually becoming with could rattle off a number of different well HubSpot, for example, CRM system. They've had a community in their business model as you're a subscriber to their services, you get some access to the different levels. But they have all this content that helps you learn by
Mm-hmm.
yourself by experts in the field. Same thing with the Wix community. There's an outside community of that. And most of the software that we use to help our pioneers get their invention and idea to protection and to profit all have communities behind them. And those are solutions too that we can make accessible to our community members as well. But it's just so much easier than this just kills me when you're on if you paid for a service and you cannot get anybody on the phone or even a real person in a chat, and it drives me up the freaking wall. But
Yeah.
But if there was a community in that unnamed company I mentioned, it would be, I would get the answer in a matter of potentially minutes, if
Yeah.
not within a 24 hours. It drives me crazy. But, and then the value too, the value beyond the discounts on the services, but the value and the intangible benefits with support, with built-in accountability as needed, following up. Everybody in a community like that has some value to bring to the members of the community. Yeah. So, and we've been in those communities too, Tim, where
Yeah.
everybody has value. You may not think it, but you have value.
This is what I think is really something, right? And you bring up a good point, like, the accountability and with all the other values that, we offer in the community. I think one of the biggest things is, again, it's something it's less tangible and often overlooked. I mean, most inventors, I should preface this, I say most, but I pretty much would also preface it by saying pretty much every inventor that I've ever met, but most inventors are fairly eccentric people, right? I mean, you're tapping into some really powerful creative juices, right? And it takes a certain type of person to be able to do that. And a lot of times they do feel like going at it alone, only because they feel like it's very difficult for them to either explain where they're at in their lives, or even find themselves even unrelatable to people around them. But this what's great about this community is think about a community full of people like you, tapping into these creative juices, tapping into the mainstream of innovation. And, whether your goal is to make as much money as possible or change the world or both, right? It doesn't matter, because the reality is we feel you should be able to do all of those things, right? This is your intellectual property. You should maximize your impact on the world, and you should maximize your ability to earn off of that idea. But it all comes down to the execution, and why not leverage the success of that execution with all the tools and all the resources available to you. And this community is a powerful resource for you.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Excellent. So today we talked about the biggest mistake that inventors and innovative businesses make. And I say that with my eyes completely open. I mean, I shared with you one story. I could literally, if this podcast was even longer, I could literally spend all day with 1 minute per story. And I could still fill up the whole entire day with stories that I've heard over the past 20 years of people who unfortunately received a cease and desist letter, uh, totally unexpected, saw a mimic or imitation product in the marketplace totally unexpectedly, but found themselves in a position of, oh my gosh, all that time and money I saved by going at it alone, I'm now paying now tenfold, 20-fold, even 100-fold. So do yourselves a favor, check out www.theipresource.com. You can look more at what we are offering, especially with the Made Simple products, search Made Simple, the patent pending Made Simple. Feel free to book a call with us. You will see my face and John's face. We can share with you more about the community, what all values are there, what are some of the courses, we're offering a course now that is specific to e-commerce sellers, but we have more courses coming soon that are just going to cover a variety of topics that are imperative to innovators, innovative businesses, inventors, and so www.theipresource.com, check it out. And John.
Yeah, I want to just add something to that too, Tim. I wanted to point out that the focus, again, as we mentioned earlier, we're not attorneys, but the research we've done and everything that we're using inside the system has been completely vetted. But also, it's not just about you getting your product, your provisional patent done, but it's about the research. It's about the marketplace that you're going into. It's about, how do I launch a business when I'm not even sure how to sell something? It's more than just getting through the patent process. It's getting you in that process successfully, so then we can build on the business model.
Absolutely, John. Could not have said it better myself.
True.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Yeah, this is from Idea to Profit podcast. Again, I'm your host, Tim, joined by John. And again, thank you for your time, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.